Hey guys, I'm Chris Buck and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks, and this week we're going to be taking a look at my main Strat for near enough the last 5 years, 2004 Highway 1, and just for fun, pitting it up against the new boy, a 1962 Fender Stratocaster. Now, for anyone who's familiar with myself or indeed a frequent viewer of Friday Fretworks, you'll probably recognise these two Strats. Of course, it was actually last week's episode of Friday Fretworks, a look at my 2020 live rig, in inverted commas, that first gave me a chance to really pit these guitars against one another in a live, loud context, something I've not really had a chance to do. Of course, as soon as you do so on camera, comparisons are drawn and opinions start to fly, even more so when the two guitars are principally quite similar, but really couldn't be further apart in terms of their value. And the comment section was largely drawn into two camps. Either the underdog, the Highway One, really held its own, or there is something truly magical about that 62. Either way, I thought it was high time that I did a proper video about the two guitars, comparing and contrasting them, and trying to get to the bottom, ultimately, of whether there is magic in that there 62, or my mainstay for the last 5 years, the underdog, the Highway One, is still king of the hill. Now, before we get into it, I just wanted to say a very quick thank you, not only to everyone who bought tickets for Buck and Evan's live stream last weekend, but to everyone who voted for Friday Fretworks in Music Radar's Best Online Guitar Personality of 2020 nominations. Obviously, this year has been a great leveler for musicians, meaning that social media and YouTube are really the only platforms that we have in order to continue to reach an audience. So to see that you guys are enjoying Friday Fretworks enough to vote it into 5th place behind the likes of Paul Davids, Ola Englund, Pete Dangleson, and of course Anderton's TV, is incredibly flattering, so thank you so much. So in the blue corner, we have my 1962 Fender Stratocaster. I shall link to all the relevant videos about this guitar, how I came to own it and its restoration process down in the description box. But save for having a veneer boards, funnily enough the guitar is actually dated to July of 1962, the first month Fender transitioned from using slab rosewood over to a veneer. It's a bit of bad luck there. It's pretty much the holy grail of pre-CBS Stratocaster specs. Older body, Brazilian rosewood fingerboards, maple neck. This guitar actually has two original pickups in the neck and the middle position, original tuners, original trem, etc, etc. Obviously the only thing, or the main thing that really isn't original is the finish, which my suspicion is that it more than likely left Fender's factory as either black or sunburst, as most of them did during this period. Upon arrival in the UK, it was more than likely sprayed Fiesta Red by Selmer, who were Fender's UK distributor at the time. And of course then, at some point later in its life, it's been sprayed again, leading to the rather unusual orangey red colour that it is today. Now, despite its checkered history, it's an absolutely incredible guitar that really has exceeded any expectations I had when I came to own it. I guess I was in a rather unique situation in not only paying nowhere near what it's currently worth, but never having really played a pre-CBS Strat that had truly blown me away. I guess I was in a unique situation to hopefully judge it a little bit more objectively as a guitar and as an instrument and not as a coveted piece of rock and roll history. And in the blue corner, the contender, or the underdog in this case, we have my 2004 Highway One Stratocaster. Now before we get into specs, with a quick recap on what exactly is a Highway One. It was a series of guitars that Fender introduced in 2002, and they were intended as an entry-level USA Fender. And as such, they retailed at $899. Of course, the modern-day equivalent is the American Performer series. They were crafted and built in Corona in California at Fender's USA plant, but using Mexican pickups and Mexican hardware. The early models, such as this one, were actually finished in a thin satin acrylic, not nitrocellulose as I originally thought and have said countless times in the past. The nitro didn't come in on the Highway 1 models until the later iteration in 2006. Either way, I bought this guitar in May of 2016, pretty much with the sole intention of using it as a donor guitar to develop my signature Radishop Pickups. Didn't really want to be cannibalizing any existing guitars that I had. To be perfectly honest, I didn't really want to be spending a lot of money on a new guitar, so I picked this up pretty cheap on eBay. Lo and behold, in conjunction with the pickups, fell in love with it, head over heels, and it's been my main guitar for near enough the last 5 years, during which time I put thousands and thousands of miles on it and hundreds of gigs. In regard to specs, it is principally pretty similar to the 1962 model. Older body, maple neck. In this case, we have an Indian rosewood fingerboard with a 9.5 inch radius as opposed to 7.25 on the 62. And of course, we've got my signature Radishop pickups. In regard to the missing tone control, there's nothing exciting going on there. It was just an accident which happened on tour, which several years later, I'm still yet to rectify. So all that's left to do really is an actual comparison, put them side by side and see how they stack up. They're both Strats, they were both built in California, they both weigh 3 kilograms and they both have 6 new strings. Let's see how we get on. And there you have it. As ever, I'm not going to say too much at the end of this video. I think part of the fun of these types of videos is letting you come to your own opinions and draw your own conclusions in regards to what you were hearing and if you had a favourite. However, what I would say first and foremost is that if anything, it just served to reiterate why I love the Highway One so much. There's a purity and a clarity to that guitar, and of course the pickups, which I should say I'm fairly biased about, I imagine. After all, they are my signature pickups. That just suits me particularly well. They sit beautifully in a band mix or in isolation, and as much as it's a cliche to say at this point, it very much feels like an extension of my body. I know it's going to react, I know it's going to respond to pretty much everything I throw at it. It's pretty much like putting on a comfortable pair of slippers. The 62 by comparison, if truth be told, I'm still getting used to. I guess this year with no gigs hasn't really kind of expedited that process. Obviously with the 7¼ inch radius fretboard, it's a little bit more of a struggle to play lead on, so I compensate by using slightly lighter strings. All of that said, however, there is a complexity and almost a three-dimensional quality to those pickups, or the body or the neck, or combination of all of the above that is just absolutely magical about that guitar. And as I said, coming from a background of never really having played a pre-CBS Strat that had blown me away before, this guitar has exceeded every expectation I had of it. Honestly, I'm just excited to get it back out on stage when we are allowed and really get to grips with it in a live scenario, which ultimately is the true test of any guitar. Honestly though, if this video has done anything, it's just served to remind me that you don't really have to spend a lot of money to get a great guitar. Obviously upgrades like pickups here and there go a long way, but ultimately both of these guitars are absolutely wonderful Strats that I'm very lucky to own. And I guess drawing too many conclusions on which is my favourite is a fruitless task. Both of them are going to be in my guitar rack for a very, very long time. As ever, I'm Chris Buck. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, hit the bell icon if you haven't already. And I shall see you next week, Christmas Day, for another episode of Friday Fretworks. Cheers guys, take care, and I shall see you soon.